All right, hi everybody, it's me, Bonkai922. After the Game of Thrones episode, I was a little pissed off. I watched Penny Dreadful. Oh my god! I'm laughing because it was so ridiculous. Oh my god! Like, where do I start with this episode? Okay, first of all, a lot of things happened. A lot of things. Like, holy shit! So much shit to even fathom. But I suppose let's start with talking about Vanessa. Now, pretty much the situation is this. First of all, we got Malcolm. Okay, Malcolm, wow. Just immense wow. Beginning of the episode, this woman finds Malcolm's wife and she killed herself. She sliced her throat. So she's dead. Um and okay, what happened with Malcolm and the madam, the witch? She pretty much bewitched him. It was so ridiculous though. I'm like, they tell Malcolm after he comes back, he comes into the house, um, morning next, that his wife died, and he's so like not grieving. It's so ridiculous. He wasn't. He gets the news, and he's like very nonchalant. He's not crying. He's not upset at all. He's totally like it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. Like she completely bewitched him. Basically, it was the whole point where she had her ring, and there was that little, almost like I think I was saying in last week's episode, sort of similar to Annie's thing, but it was just from Attack on Titan. But the thing was it was just like a hook on the ring, and that was and she took his hair. Man, it was so ridiculous. So pretty much, he hears the news about his wife, and he's like, how did it happen and everything, but he's not grieving over it. He's not acting. Basically, the long and short of it, he's not acting like himself. It's obvious that the matter bewitched him, and it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So that happened. Then there was everything else that was happening. Like, there's this ball that happens in this episode, and there's this one scene that made me go like, "What?" Dorian Gray, his man woman, the Bride of Frankenstein. You might as well call it the Bride of Frankenstein because Dr. Frankenstein and Vanessa. They're all looking at each other like, like it's, huh? Because the thing is, what's really crazy about this episode wasn't just the Vanessa stuff, wasn't just um Malcolm. You have this connection between Vanessa. Vanessa has a connection with two different characters. No, scratch that. Three different characters who have a relationship going on. She's talked to the creature, Dr. Frankenstein, and supposedly Dr. Frankenstein's cousin, Bride of Frankenstein. That whole thing. And that just blows me away alone. And it's just a crazy episode that transpires in this episode 6. And basically, the creature, he kind of gets found out in this episode also. He the woman who's the daughter of the guy who owns the place, the creature feature, horror um place that's the wax dolls and everything. Noticed that his hands were cold. Also, it also happens with the Bride of Frankenstein, but she but Dorian doesn't. He dismisses it and says it's a good thing. You know. So a lot of things happen in this episode, logistically. So we had that with the creature. Then there's this shit with Ethan. Man, it's just an insane amount of shit that happened in this episode. But creature that happened. Vanessa, I'm gonna get into that later on in this review about what happened with her at the end of the episode. But I figured I'd talk about Ethan because this is a bad situation he's in as well. Basically, the detective is still investigating, and the guy he like butchered, he shows up to talk to him, and it was a pretty interesting altercation. And he basically Ethan's telling him I'm not going back to America, blah blah blah. And he's like saying, "Oh, if you are sleeping at night, I might come over," and small talk bullshit. So, but his conversation with the detective, and the detective saying, "I know you were involved in this." Now, the thing about it is, in the end of this episode, yeah, Ethan's a werewolf. There's no denying it. I mean, it was already confirmed at the end of season 1, but now it's definite. He's a freaking werewolf, and he even mentions it when he's talking to the detective um, at that horror freak show place, and he says how the crime scene looks at the end, and he says it might be like a lion or like grizzly bears, and he looks at him. He says the detective's like wolves. I was like, yo, Ethan, yo. So right now, I think the the, the main people in this show right now that are like, holy shit, is Malcolm and Ethan. Ethan's got to deal now with all this shit with him and the detective. He's a freaking werewolf. And then you got Malcolm, and he's fucking bewitched. It is so ridiculous what's going on in this episode. By the way, 100 times better than the Game of Thrones episode, no question. But we had that happen, and it all like comes to the ball like the ball. It just explodes because basically what happens is everyone's there. They're kind of there for Dorian Gray's man woman, and we have this altercation between Dr. Frankenstein and that the girl he brought back to life, saying don't embarrass him and everything. And then she's about to leave Vanessa, and that guy Lyles, guy with the old guy with the blondish hair, he insists on bringing her home. And obviously here's the thing about it. She senses her coming, the madam, with Malcolm. And I was like, yo, like from the get-go, you know shit's gonna get real from that. So what ends on happening is she walks away and she goes to say goodbye to Dr. Frankenstein. And that's when she sees the other 3 witches. And like she's going into a daze, and then out of nowhere, the thing that comes to mind, Slayer, rain and blood. Literally, that's what happens. It starts raining blood in the fucking ballroom. It was sick. It was probably the most sickest scenes I ever seen in Penny Dreadful, bar none. That and the I forgot to mention the other thing. The madam takes a piece of Malcolm's hair, puts it on a doll. Inside the doll is a living heart. Just another ante, up an ante of this show. But that's basically what happens there. And at the end was the whole thing with Ethan, and he basically turned into a werewolf. Now, this gets a 5 out of 5. This show is fire. Penetrable. It's just absolute fire. Every episode is a suspense roller coaster. It's like it doesn't let up. It keeps going and going and going and going. It's insane. Now, next week, it seems like Ethan and Vanessa leave. They leave London and they go to the house of the cut knife. So looks like what's going to happen is, and here's the funny thing. You see Ethan killing lambs and shit. I was like, yeah, he's going full werewolf with Vanessa in the house. So this is a matter of her staying away from London, staying away from them, keeping herself hidden. And hopefully this will help her, and everyone else is going to help her get through this, trying to stop these witches, logistically. Also, there was another scene that kind of interested me with the madam. She was referencing how she was telling Lyle, like, look around. What do you see? Do you see him? Like God. Like there is no God. Like, you know, and that's saying that giving Vanessa to Satan is going to allow her to live forever, supposedly. And when she said that, like how much it brings up a lot of things in the show when you really think about God and how he's not fair. I thought that was a very interesting quote that she brought up, which makes a kind of, you could say, an argument why she is doing what she's doing. But, but this was a great episode. 5 out of 5. I'm dead serious on this. I'm not going to say that Penny Dreadful is a million times better than Game of Thrones in entirety. No, that would be ridiculous. Because Penny Dreadful only has 2 seasons and Game of Thrones has 5. But I will say this. Penny Dreadful, this season, is a million times better than season 5 of Game of Thrones. That is a fact. There's no denying it. It is better. It is better character-wise. It is better story-wise. It is better, I would say even music. Music-wise, I really do feel that Penny Dreadful Season 2 is a million times better than Game of Thrones Season 5. I just feel that way. And I think that anyone who's watching Game of Thrones right now, give Penny Dreadful a chance. Go watch Season 1 and go watch Season 2 and see if I'm wrong. But I'm telling you right now, I really doubt I'm wrong on this. I truly believe Penny Dreadful Season 2 is better than Season 5 of Game of Thrones. Now, we'll see what happens next week. It seems they're going to go out of the country. Miss Hives, Vanessa, and Ethan. This should be very interesting. I wonder how this is going to come to a head because, let's be honest here. You got Ethan, finds out what happened to, and that she's with Dr. Frankenstein. Then there's the creature. Is the creature going to find out what Dr. Frankenstein's doing? It's a lot of different interactions that are going to come ahead, especially with Ethan. I mean, you wonder if that detective, like if he finds out Ethan's a werewolf, like what is he going to do about it? The only thing he can do about it is kill him. Because that's the only way this is going to come ahead. Because Ethan doesn't remember what he did. So how do you prosecute Ethan? Can't arrest him for something he doesn't remember doing? There's really nothing he can do about it. But unless he kills him as a werewolf. But, we'll see. As far as Ethan's werewolf feel, it's traditional. It's not your typical, it's like your old style werewolf look. More of the classical monsters look. And I actually like that when you're concerning it with Penny Dreadful because it's a lot more natural. So yeah. I'm Bonkai922. I'll see you guys later. Somebody message Anime Rick. The hype is real, man. Penny Dreadful 2015. Yo! Get on it. I'll see you guys later.